Picture this. You're sitting at the kitchen table with a brew in hand, staring at your payslip and asking yourself the big question. How much money would you actually need squirreled away to tell your boss to get stuffed permanently? Now, $85,000 a year here in Australia is a ripper target. In most parts of the country, that kind of coin covers the mortgage or rent, keeps the ute running, funds a decent holiday up the coast or overseas, and still lets you sock a bit away each fortnight. You're not living flash, but you're living well. But before we get into the numbers, let's sort out the thing most people completely stuff up from the word go. There is no single magic number that works for everyone. How much you actually need depends entirely on how you invest, where you invest, and how much of a white-knuckle ride you're prepared to stomach when markets get wobbly. So here are 4 real paths you can take, right here in Australia, from the most boring but bulletproof options all the way to the high-octane stuff, with the exact amount of moolah you'll need to pull $85,000 every single year without punching on at work again. Path 1. Australian government bonds, the safest bet on the board. Right now, in 2026, the 10-year Australian government bond is paying around 4.9% per year. That's about as close to a guaranteed return as you're going to get in this country. The federal government would have to go completely broke before you lost a cent, and if Canberra goes broke, we've all got bigger dramas than our investment portfolio. To live purely off bond interest, you'd need roughly $1.74 million parked in there. Your money just sits there doing its thing, the government mails you interest payments like clockwork, and you don't have to lose a wink of sleep over a share market crash. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Inflation is silently gnawing away at your buying power every single year. A trolley full of groceries that costs you $200 today might set you back $280 in 10 years. Your nest egg stays the same size, but what it can actually buy you keeps shrinking. So this safe option is actually a slow leak over the long haul. And then there's the tax man. Interest income from government bonds gets taxed at your full marginal rate. There are 0 franking credits to soften the blow. If you're sitting in the 37% tax bracket, the ATO is going to take a serious whack before you see a dollar. To pocket $85,000 after tax, you'd actually need closer to $2.4 million in bonds. That's a detail most people conveniently forget to mention, and it changes the whole picture completely. Path 2. Dividend income, the one Aussies go weak at the knees for. This is the path most Australians get starry-eyed about, and for genuinely good reason. We have something most countries don't, a beautiful little thing called franking credits. When an Australian company pays you a fully franked dividend, they've already paid 30% company tax on those profits. That tax credit gets passed on to you, meaning you're not taxed twice on the same money. Depending on your tax situation, you might even get a refund from the ATO at the end of the year. It's one of the best features of the entire Australian tax system, and most people barely understand it. The average dividend yield on the ASX 200 right now is sitting somewhere between 3.5% and 3.8% gross once you account for those franking credits. To pull $85,000 a year through dividends, you'll need somewhere between $1.2 million and $1.6 million invested, depending on your exact mix and your tax bracket. The beauty here is that your capital should also grow over time, so your income stream hopefully keeps pace with inflation. The downside, dividends are never guaranteed. When the economy goes pear-shaped, companies slash their payouts faster than you can say profit warning. We saw this happen in brutal fashion back in 2020 when the big 4 banks, CBA, Westpac, NAB and ANZ, cut their dividends almost in half overnight. Anyone who had their entire income riding on a couple of blue-chip bank shares suddenly found their retirement plan in tatters. That's exactly why you spread your money across 50 to 100 companies through a diversified ETF. One company can go belly up and you barely notice it. A whole index of diversified businesses almost never does. Path 3. The total return approach. This is the strategy most genuine Aussie early retirees actually use, and it's probably the smartest of the lot. The playbook is this: you build a diversified portfolio of both Australian and global shares, and each year you take out 4% of the total balance adjusted for inflation. This is often called the 4% rule, and it comes from decades of academic research showing that a broadly diversified portfolio can sustain that kind of withdrawal rate across nearly any 30-year period without running out of dough. To draw $85,000 a year using this method, you need a nest egg of $2.125 million. Round it up to $2.1 million and call it done. Yes, it's a bigger mountain to climb on paper, but hear me out, it's a much smarter play than relying purely on dividends. You're not just surviving off income, you're selling down tiny slices of a growing asset base, which means your overall portfolio keeps compounding while it's simultaneously funding your lifestyle. Most Aussies who retire early under this method use low-cost index funds. A classic Australian split is roughly 40% in a domestic fund, hello franking credits, and 60% in a global index fund. So you're also riding the growth of US tech giants, European manufacturers, and Asian markets. You get the tax benefits of the Australian market combined with the explosive long-term growth of the global economy. Path 4. Aggressive growth. Not for the faint of heart. This one's for you if you've got nerves of steel. You genuinely don't mind watching your portfolio drop 25% in a rough year without panic selling everything, and you want to reach financial freedom on a smaller starting balance. Historically, the ASX has delivered around 9% total return per year over the long run, dividends and capital growth combined. If you can handle the volatility and you're drawing down aggressively, you could justify a 5% or even a 6% withdrawal rate. At 5%, you only need $1.7 million to hit your $85,000 target. At 6%, it drops to just under $1.42 million. That's a significantly smaller pile to build. But here's the serious warning, and I need you to actually listen to this one. The more you pull out each year, the higher the chance of completely running out of money, especially if the market absolutely tanks in the first few years of your retirement. Finance nerds call this sequence of returns risk, and it has quietly destroyed more early retirements than anything on this list. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you retire in late 2007 with $1.5 million. You're feeling pretty chuffed with yourself. Then the global financial crisis hits. By March 2009, the market has smashed your portfolio down to somewhere around $850,000 to $900,000, and you're still having to pull out $85,000 every year just to keep the lights on. You're selling shares at their absolute lowest point. When the market eventually recovers, you don't have enough units left to fully benefit. Many people who retired in that window never properly recovered. The fix is dead simple, but most people skip it entirely. Before you finish up at work, make sure you've got 2 to 3 years of living expenses sitting in cash or a high-interest savings account. When the market goes through the floor, you live off the cash stash and leave your shares well and truly alone to recover in their own time. By the time your cash buffer runs dry, the market has almost always bounced back. The numbers don't have to be as scary as they look. $2 million sounds like an absolutely impossible target when you're starting from scratch, but the maths is much friendlier than your brain is telling you right now. If you're 30 years old and you consistently invest $1,500 a month into a diversified portfolio compounding at 8% a year, you will hit $2 million by the time you're 60. Bump that up to $2,500 a month and you're there by 54. Get to $3,500 a month and you could be financially free by 50. 30 years of consistent investing is a very long runway, and compounding does the heavy lifting for you. Your secret weapon, superannuation. Most Aussies are sleeping on this one, and it's costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime. From the 1st of July 2026, the concessional contributions cap increases, meaning you can park up to $32,500 per year into super and pay just 15% tax on it instead of your top marginal rate. If you're on $100,000 a year, the difference between your 32% marginal rate and the 15% super tax rate is a 17-cent saving on every single dollar you put in. On $10,000 in salary sacrifice, that's $1,700 straight back in your pocket every year, and that's before the money even starts compounding inside the fund. If you're already in your 40s or 50s and feeling like you're behind the 8 ball, there's a lifeline called the carry forward rule. If you haven't maxed out your concessional contributions in previous years, which most people haven't, you can carry forward those unused caps for up to 5 years and dump a big lump sum into super when your income is at its peak. It's one of the most powerful tax strategies available to ordinary Australians, and it's completely above board. The real shortcut nobody talks about. Here's the truth that actually moves the needle faster than anything else. The size of your target matters a whole lot less than the size of your spending. $85,000 is a great target, but if you can build a life you genuinely love on $60,000 a year, your magic number drops to $1.5 million. If your home is fully paid off and your day-to-day costs are modest, you might only need $50,000 a year, which slashes your target all the way down to $1.25 million. The fastest path to financial freedom in Australia isn't grinding yourself into the ground chasing a massive salary. It's learning to need less while still living a life you're actually proud of. The couple in the outer suburbs driving a paid-off 2014 Hilux with no mortgage is miles ahead of the high-earning couple leasing 2 new luxury SUVs in a postcode they can barely afford. Wealth is what you keep, not what you show off. Your move. Pick your path: bonds, dividends, total return, or aggressive growth. Work backwards from your number. Open the account, set up the automatic direct debit, and for the love of all that is holy, stop checking the bloody balance every single week. The people who actually reach financial freedom in Australia aren't trading geniuses or finance wizards. They are the most relentlessly boring people you'll ever meet. They pick a plan, automate it, and completely ignore the noise for 20 years straight. If this video helped you out, do us a solid and smash that like button. It genuinely makes a massive difference to the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, jump on it and flick on notifications so you catch the next one.